Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Hannah and I have never read the Grishaverse trilogy. I know, shocker, but don't worry, we'll be rectifying that in this video. I'm going to be reading the first book in the trilogy, Shadow and Bone. As someone who likes fantasy, you'd think I would have read this by now, but I'm blaming my reading slump. I did a whole video on that, if you want to go check it out, up there. But we're going to be reading this today. There are two reasons why I'm finally picking this up now. Number one, my friends all like the TV show and I want to watch it, but I'm also that annoying person who likes to read the book first. And the second reason is that I want to read Six of Crows. So many of my friends love it and they've recommended it to me. They said that I would love it. And I know that you can skip straight to Six of Crows if you don't mind a couple of spoilers from Shadow and Bone. But I'm also that annoying person that has to read everything in order. I do prefer adult fantasy over YA fantasy usually, and I do know that this book has a couple of very YA tropes that I'm not a fan of. The main one that I'm not looking forward to is the love triangle. Love triangles make me want to tear my hair out. This is YA and it is written for an audience that's a little bit younger than me, so I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. I'm not going to judge the book too harshly on that, but I'm really keen to see what the hype is about because people love this. Or they hate it. So come along with me as we read this and I will let you know what I think. I started reading this not last night. I didn't read yesterday. That's a crime. I started reading this the day before. I only read like the prologue and the first two chapters, and I think it's interesting so far. I don't really have a whole lot to say yet. I'm just getting to know the characters. We've met Alina, Mel, this other guy who I don't know if he's still alive after that second chapter. But I'm meeting with a friend in the city today, and then I've got a dance practice afterwards, so I will be reading this throughout the day.
What are we doing? Let's go.
I've gotten about a third of the way through Shadow and Bone, so I'm going to let you know what it's about if you're like me and you still haven't read this. This is a YA fantasy following a character called Alina, who is a cartographer in, I think it's the King's Army? They've talked about so many armies, I'm a little bit confused. In this world, the two sides of the land are split by this dark mass called the Unsea or the Fold. And it's basically this really dangerous place filled with these awful creatures. But unfortunately, they still have to cross through it because trade must go on. When Alina is part of the troop that is tasked with crossing the Fold, something happens that awakens this power within her that she didn't even realize that she had. Alina then has to train with and fight alongside the Grisha, which are basically the country's magical elite military. All the while she meets the Darkling, who's an interesting character. She meets their leader, the Darkling, who basically believes that she might have the power to actually destroy the Fold altogether. I think the book gets off to a pretty interesting start. There is a lot of action at the beginning of the story. I'm finding it a little bit slow now as she's kind of adjusting to the Grisha lifestyle. But let's talk about the characters because that's what I know so far. I like the way that Alina stands up for herself and doesn't really take anyone's condescending tone towards her. Granted, she doesn't do it with much tact. And I have a feeling that her mouth is going to land her in trouble someday. But all the while, she doesn't take anyone's BS, and I like that about her. One thing that I don't like about Alina, though, or rather about the way that her character is portrayed, why are we so fixated on the fact that she's not conventionally attractive? Basically, Alina has this view of the Grisha that they're all these gorgeous, beautiful people. And how could she ever be Grisha if she's ugly? Huh? Like, to me, when I was first kind of getting to know the Grisha, I was like, oh, the reason why they probably inspire such awe or fear into the hearts of kind of regular people is because they're so powerful, right? Alina said it herself, they could probably crush her heart in her chest if they wanted to. But for some reason, the thing that inspires the awe or fear in Alina is the fact that they're pretty. Like, we get it. She's not conventionally pretty. Can we talk about her powers now? It's very odd how often it comes up in the story. It's like every couple of paragraphs. Oh, there it is again. Alina is not attractive. Great, thank you for letting us know. This isn't like a spoiler because it has literally nothing to do with the plot, just like the fixation on beauty in this book. But there is a scene where basically Alina is getting prepared to meet somebody important. And there's a Grisha who's helping her get ready. And this Grisha's gift is basically that she can temporarily manipulate certain aspects of the way that people look in order to make them more like conventionally attractive. Or if that was my gift, while other people are over there throwing fireballs from their hands, I would probably cry. That's the short end of the stick for sure. This Grisha basically tries to do work on Alina's face and Alina refuses. She's like, no, I'm not gonna let you change my face. Which I was like, yes, we'd love to see that. Except for the fact that 3 lines later, she's like, yeah, actually, I don't like the way I look. Can you please change my face? Was a little disappointed with Alina there. And the thing that icks me out even more is that the person that she needs to look good for to impress, this important person that she's meeting, is like this man who's honestly kind of creepy. The other character that we meet is Mel, Alina's childhood best friend. I don't really have an opinion on him. He hasn't been in a lot of the chapters. Wow, back when I didn't have an opinion on Mal. What's that like? I would love to go back there. He and his group of friends just kind of seem like your average bunch of straight dudes. So, I mean, if you like that, then there you go. And then there's the Darkling, who is the leader of the Grisha. And does the Darkling have a name, or do we have to call him the Darkling this entire time? Because I really don't think I can manage that. When I'd heard people talking about him before I read this, I kind of assumed that he was going to be this kind of dark, brooding character who the main character can't help but fall for. And that's not really my thing. But honestly, I'm kind of enjoying his character so far. He is kind of dark and brooding, I suppose, but he's also got this kind of hint of mischief and humor to him, which I actually quite like. I'm surprised. I take back every compliment I ever gave the Darkling. The only thing I like about him is the cut thing he does. That's pretty cool. Everything else can go. Thank you. You know what though? I'm gonna look back at this when I finish this, and I'm probably gonna have a different opinion because they are definitely setting this up to be a love triangle, which I knew was coming. I've said how I'm not a fan of love triangles before, but you know, keeping an open mind. Except that like the Darkling is over a century old. I don't know how old Alina is, but she can't be more than like 18, maybe. You know what? We'll see what happens. We'll see. I also accidentally bought an 800-page high fantasy yesterday. I wasn't supposed to buy any more books this month, but my friend and I went to a bookstore yesterday and both bought a copy so that we could buddy read it. I mean, hey, I've been wanting to read this for a while, The Priory of the Orange Tree. It has been on my TBR for a while, but I've been a little bit intimidated to read it because of the absolute scale of it. But I've been in such a fantasy mood lately. I mean, if not now, then when, right? So I might do a reading vlog for this as well. And maybe I can even rope my friend into giving her thoughts on it as well. Jasmine, you down? Like, look at this. You know, I say that, but like, hang on. That's not too bad, right? This is Harry Potter, so it's like a lot easier to read, but I can do this. Right? No, I'm joking. I'm very excited to read it, but gonna have to finish this one first. I finished it, and we're gonna have a conversation about this, okay? I feel like I need to make the disclaimer that this is my personal opinion. If you love this series, good. I'm really glad. I wish that were me. I'm glad someone enjoyed this. Unfortunately, I just did not. But let's take a moment to talk about the things I did like about this book, because I will be trash talking it, and I don't want this to be completely negative. The plot had potential. It's interesting, right? The world had potential. Another thing I liked about it was the potential for Alina's character. She started off as an interesting character and then just kind of faded throughout the book. Which is so sad to see. So basically what I'm saying, a lot of what I liked about this book was the potential for things. The execution, however, not it. Like I said before, the start of the book is, I think, pretty strong. The first 3 chapters, 4 chapters maybe, I was enjoying it. I was genuinely like, oh, okay, maybe I will enjoy this book. But overall, I just found it boring. Like, what happens in this book? Okay, she discovers she has powers. Amazing. Sounds great. Love magic. She trains her powers. Okay. Not a massive fan of training sequences, but cool. She runs away. And then she gets captured pretty easily. And then she runs away again. The end. That's the book. I'm just confused about what this book was trying to accomplish. Because the only thing that it did accomplish was that Alina has powers. You know what it is? I found the story very thin. For a fantasy, I know it's YA fantasy, but still, for a fantasy, it was really thin. And for the last 50%, I found myself reading it and just really wishing that I wasn't. There was a lot in this book that I really did not like. I'm gonna rapid fire them because I could talk about them forever. The predictability of it, it's very predictable, the plot's thin, and the reveal about the black heretic and who he actually is was very predictable. I think we all kind of saw it coming. The lack of world building and character development. I feel like Alina's character regressed. I don't think she developed at all. She went from being quite a kind of stubborn, feisty character, but in a way that I thought might develop into something more mature, to basically just spending the last half of the book crying and being pulled around by the men in her life. And I understand. She's going through a difficult time. But girl, get a grip. Oh my god. Another thing I didn't like I mentioned previously, is the fixation on physical and superficial beauty. I really don't understand why it took up so much of this book. We get it. Alina's insecure about the way she looks. That's fine. There is room in a novel for that. There's room to unpack insecurities and maybe even body dysmorphia. This book does not unpack it though. And the thing that was probably the most problematic for me about this book was Mal. And the fact that we're supposed to like him. I am all for a childhood best friends to lovers vibe. I'm here for it. I definitely thought that I would ship Mal and Alina more than I would ship Alina and the Darkling. But now I don't ship either of them. In fact, I'd probably prefer Alina and Genya, to be honest. You're telling me that Mal, when he suddenly realizes that he's had feelings for Alina all along, somehow thinks that he now has claim to her. And he gets upset when she does a light show with another guy, when they're not even together. They haven't seen each other in months. He gets mad at her. When I said that he and his friends were just a bunch of straight dudes? Was I wrong? He's so possessive and controlling, and we're supposed to think that's good? We're supposed to think that that's him caring? No! That's him wanting to get his way and not caring about how she feels. Both of the love interests in this book, the Darkling and Mal, just kiss her out of nowhere. Don't ask her how she feels. Don't ask for her consent. Just kiss her. And Alina just goes with it. There is a line in this that Mal says that I don't think was intended in the way that it comes across, but the way that it comes across made me a little bit angry. Basically, Alina has always been described as skinny and not really having an appetite. But as she's training with the Grisha, she eats better, she gets stronger, she puts on muscle, her body is more capable. Really great things, right? She's good and healthy. So Mal and her are running away from the people chasing them, and they're trying to ration their food. And Mal says, you'd be a lot easier to feed if you hadn't developed an appetite. Why is that line in there? So she'd be a lot better to feed if she wasn't healthy? Are we supposed to believe that he's in love with her? That was so weird. And he just kind of low-key insults her, and she never stands up to him. But she has no problem standing up to people who have authority over her, like her commanders and things like that, in which she receives no consequence for doing so. Doesn't make any sense. And at the end of this book, there is so many pages of just a letter from Mal to Alina. And by that point, the whole Mal and Alina thing was so annoying to me that I was like skim reading. I could literally rant about Mal forever. So I will stop now. I know that there is like a lot of Mal slander in the fandom, and I'm kind of here for it, but there are plenty of other people who can rant about Mal better than I can because I've only read the first book and I'm quite sure that he does not improve in the next two. Bro, I haven't even gotten to the Darkling yet. What was that between Alina and the Darkling? What was it? I can get Mal and Alina, they're childhood friends. I get it. Alina and the Darkling, it made no sense. I didn't get it. I was rolling my eyes the whole time. At least the love triangle didn't last long. Look, I wasn't expecting to love this book going in. I really thought, you know, with those first couple of chapters, maybe this will exceed my expectations. My expectations were low when I started, but maybe it would be like a 3.5 star read. I would be cool with that. But like, I wouldn't even recommend this to anyone. I can understand why people like it. I see it. Like, if you're getting into reading for the first time, or you're getting into reading fantasy for the first time, and you're kind of more suited to YA because of your age or maybe your reading level, I can see it. I understand why it's popular. But I just feel like we can do better. I feel like there are other YA fantasies out there that have better representation of whatever themes are in this book, that have more comprehensive world building and character development. Isn't that what we like to read in stories? We can talk about being insecure about the way we look. Absolutely. But not when the message is, yeah, you should try and change your face. I don't get it. I don't understand what Alina's appearance has to do with anything. That's all I'm going to say about this because I really could rant about it for hours. I feel bad trash talking like a beloved series, but not that bad. I've been debating whether or not to pick up the next book because I don't want to read it. I don't really want to read it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Six of Crows, which is what I've been wanting to read, which I think I will enjoy. Once I've done the Six of Crows duology, if I feel like I want to read, what's the next duology called? King of Scars? If I feel like I want to read that, I think I do have to read Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising because the character of Nikolai is introduced. I've heard some things about him too. And I think I would need to read the rest of Shadow and Bone in order to like fully get King of Scars. So I might do that. But for now, I am gonna stop. And this will also be leaving my room. I'm taking it back to the library today, so bye-bye. So I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. This was my first time reading Shadow and Bone. I apologize that this turned into a little bit of a negative video. But honestly, trash talking things that are dumb is fun. But I hope you still enjoyed my thoughts, I suppose. If you want to see more bookish content, be sure to subscribe and like the video if you liked it so that I know that you liked it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about Shadow and Bone. Do you hate Mal as much as I do? Let's trash talk him in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll catch you in the next one.